I'd be like, yeah, and then when we actually shoot the video, and he'd be like, I love that you don't think this is gonna be the video. First thought, best thought. It's like, yeah, that. We all kind of play producer at different times. All here, oh, like, don't forget that. Let's do that again. We got to do that again right now, and then the whole part gets written.
Yeah.
The singles are going towards the next LP dropping, which is dropping.
Okay, we have a release date.
You're hearing it here first. Yeah, we don't make the announcement till later next month. I was also personally in a place where, like, I don't even know if we'll continue this project, so let's just put all these out.
Welcome back to another episode of the Heroes Journey podcast. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Rex and Ollie of the band ISTA. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm getting back into the swing of this a bit more recently. I've done some episodes, but took a bit of a break. And I used to like write a whole intro for the guests coming on, give some context. But I found it also really interesting to just ask the guests themselves, like, how would you introduce yourselves, or at least the band ISTA? Like, how do you pitch the band? What kind of music do you guys make? Things like that.
Yeah, I will answer that. I am curious though, off the bat, how did you find out about us, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. No, I love it. It was actually I was texting with my uncle who lives in New York City and everything, and he sent me this playlist. He was like, hey, listen, I know you love music. I thought you might want to check this out. I'm keeping like a playlist of bands and artists based in New York City that are like up and coming. I really like them. Basically like small New York City bands, or the playlist name is something like that, or New York City bands. And he sent me the playlist, and Megawatt was on there, your song. So that was kind of my first introduction to you guys, and enjoyed it. So I wanted to reach out and see if you guys would come on, and now we're here, and I'm glad that you two made it.
Very cool. Thanks. Cool uncle.
Like... Yeah. That's basically, I think to be the cool uncle and show this music, and we've bonded more recently over music, and it's been fun.
Awesome. So your question was, how would we describe our music?
Yeah, just like how would you kind of introduce ISTA to someone who's never heard of you guys?
I'd like to hear what Ollie says first, and then I'll add my
I feel like we I don't know, it's definitely crosses a lot of different genres, but it's primarily like rock with like 70s style stuff in there with experimental things. It's been a kind of a challenge to describe, so we like hearing what other people say, because it's gotten to the point where it's hard to be self-referential with the sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, we like hearing all the, like, you guys sound like, this band and this band and this band, if they all join together and stuff. But I think just party vibes. We're kind of like a hype party band at the end of the day. No matter like what kind of genre we're dipping into, I think it's primarily just like the energy we're wanting to cultivate at shows, to just have a really wholesome party atmosphere.
Yeah, and something that feels timeless, I'd say, is like not necessarily the goal while we're doing it, but it's like the well, I'd say, that we're tapping into of the like numinous inspirations that we have, and that kind of find their ways into the sounds that get woven together. But it's kind of like a psychedelic, funky punk with soul and straight rock and roll.
Yeah, just all these different sounds coming together. I was even like reading your guys' Spotify bio. It's like, oh yeah, it's rock with funk and disco and electronic. It's like it's a little bit of everything, which I love. I mean, one of my favorite bands, 21 Pilots, is like kind of like that, where they overall, I'd say they're kind of like an alt rock band, but they do a little bit of everything. They have straight up rap songs, they have popular / like dance songs, and with a little bit of funk and stuff. So yeah, they like I in general, I just love artists and bands that explore and do all kinds of things than like sticking with the same kind of sound over and over again.
That's important to us, like to be able to, looking at the future, to be able to do whatever we want, to not pigeonhole ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's part of the manifestation of that, like, mix of genres going on, because it's really just about doing what we feel with a certain character of a song and letting it live as that, however it is. There's certain things that have their signature in the songs, you know, like we always like to put a nice fat sub synthesizer. Um, Generally, fuzz tones will make their ways in there. So there's signatures at this point in the band's like age, and
Yeah. Like little elements from all these genres that come through, but not necessarily like each song being a clear genre.
Yeah.
A brother of mine described us as like maximalist rock. I think is funny.
Yeah, I like that.
Pretty true. Like how we like to make our live show feel kind of like just throw everything at the wall, but not in the sense of like, you know, no intention behind it. But yeah, I've liked playing around with that in my head.
Yeah, nice. And so I want to get into, well, I mean, let's just start off with it because I brought up is how I got into Megawatt being like a bigger song of yours, getting a good amount of attention. How did that song just kind of come about, or did you guys expect it to get the reaction that it has?
Coming about, I was playing around in this studio, 2 years ago now, I guess. It was right after first son was born. He is 3 now. It was just a couple months after that, and this room was totally different. Actually, it wasn't a room within a room yet. We just had
Okay.
a box actually like built in the
I
room.
like this vibe that I'm seeing around though. I like the kind of like cable pillar that's behind you guys. It's way more organized than some of the spaces I've seen music be made in.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a long time in the making to get to this point, but I was
Mhm.
here, and I would go in like throughout the week and give myself like the period of time that I would have, like say I could go in for like 4 hours at a time, 3 hours maybe, and just tunnel vision into no distraction, just make something, see what happens. A lot of times there'd be one idea that would be kind of like the like working things out, and then something would come out of that. Next thing would come really quick, and that Megawatt, at least the inception of it, was kind of like one of those things. Actually, it had like a whole other kind of 2 sections that I was playing with as an idea, and I just did like, you know, I don't even know if I started with a drum track for it or guitar. I think I started with this guitar riff, and that initial guitar riff didn't even make it into the song. When I brought it to Ollie, and we brought it up to Sam and Evan and the rest of the group, we and it's a lot of our process is where we kind of like to just like siphon the magic out of um, the overall demo and just find like where are the pieces that really feel like they're hitting, and I ideally save the thing that was used before for something else later. Fun to think for the future, I guess. Stuff we're writing now, I didn't think about going back to that yet, but yeah, it came out of that, and when we brought it to Sam, our producer, it was in a series of like I think 4, 5, maybe even 6 other like basics, which it's a lot of our process is going and hitting the basic tracks, the drums, bass, guitar. We'll do like 2 guitars, bass, drums all at once for the initial like live basic track of the song
Yeah.
up from. So I think it was like second in line in that section, maybe second or third, and I remember particularly that one coming through really swiftly. Like we were just kind of like, that, let's take that part, that's good. Let's leave that part out for later or something else. And it just, yeah, everything just like formed, I'd say, like really there wasn't a lot of like second guessing or too much thought put into any particular part. It was kind of like when we'd have, you know, that like the out chorus kind of pre-verse, the dun 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 dun, the chromatic. I remember specifically sitting there and going like, "What if it's something like this?" And I just hit a really quick chromatic thing, and we were just like, "Yeah," and then we all wrote it together.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like, you know, Ollie or Evan or Sam, one quick idea into the pot. We'd all try it. Yes, let's do that. So, um, that's how it came about. And then the second part of the question, was it like the kind of it coming out into the world or us choosing to put it out or something like that?
Yeah, well, I love that process in general, because I feel like there's always something special if something comes easily or just fits right in, that it's a good idea. Like usually if you're working and working on something and it's still not sounding right, then I mean maybe it's just like a slight edit you have to make, or it just doesn't work. But like anytime something comes naturally, it's awesome.
I think your mic just cut out.
Yeah, I need to get like a new cable for this mic. It just kind of falls out sometimes. But yeah, basically was just listening to an interview with Circa, one of my favorite producers, and I think Zed had also said this before, just like working fast in the studio. Like there shouldn't be any friction of like idea to recording something or getting it down, because there's always something inherent about that. But yeah, to get back to what you were talking about, the second part of the question was just because when I was listening to it, I, at least for now, use Spotify. I've thought about going to Apple Music recently, but for on Spotify, I think it's your top song there, or at least, or like has a lot of streams. I was just curious if in the process of releasing it, you had a sense of like, oh, this might do well, or like, oh, there's something special about the song, or if it kind of took you by surprise that it caught on so fast.
Definitely was surprising, like the it being it was definitely a song we were stoked on when we were making it, and when we were like, you know, playing with our own ideas and stuff like that in the studio. But I don't know. I think all the stuff with uh, the results of people listening to it is a surprise in general. Um, we're just stoked that people like and are listening to the song. So to see that it has as much plays as it does compared to the other songs, I mean, I think because the maybe like the video we did had a lot to do with it. The energy behind the that song was kind of like came out of this whole. It's a longer story about like a video that was about to maybe happen, that we kind of pivoted to being. I don't know if you saw the Megawatt video, but it's all in cam.
It's all VHS or high 8. It's all like high 8 VHS.
That's awesome.
Excuse me, VHS-C.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video yet, but that's awesome. And I feel like again, kind of back to the speed thing, that quick pivot before, like just before it was coming out. I wonder, did that kind of give you guys, I don't want to say pressure, because that makes it sound like a bad thing, but the kind of deadline working under of like, okay, we need something by this date, let's just get it done, and you knocked out the video pretty quickly from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say too about the like preconception of how it would be received. Is at least a lot of our process up to this point isn't thought about that much, because
Yeah,
we're so like the song's done. All right, let's make the video. All right, let's plan everything for the release. All right, let's have the PR set up. It's like most of the time is spent organizing those things instead of thinking about how it will be received. We have a manager now these days, so that's I guess his job to wonder about that kind of
yeah,
stuff. But, yeah, no pressure, just pressure to get things, just pressure to meet deadlines, if any.
yeah.
And I think that the video did take on a similar vibe as the recording process of the song, in that, at least in execution, by the time we were actually making it, it's funny because it started off as like a demo, like, all right, let's just get these shots done with this VHS cam that we have as like placeholders to envision this larger
Gotcha.
and treatment, which we'll shoot on the West Coast next month, blah, blah, blah. And then after we started getting into it, our close friend Pat, who works closely with us on a lot of our video stuff, and media in general, he like films a lot of the live shows and takes photos and stuff. He kept saying to me throughout the process, because I'd be like, yeah, and then when we actually shoot the video, and he'd be like, I love that you don't think this is going to be the video that we're making. Like,
You just kind of knew all along.
yeah. And so then, like, all in all, if you put all the days together, it took like a series of maybe like 3 or 4 days to make that video, and over a course of like 2 weeks or something. But we did all right in our house, and all planning around our house and in the backyard and stuff. It was just like,
yeah,
next thought, first thought, best thought, just like,
yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
Personality in it through us kind of being like, let's just completely DIY it.
Yeah. Sorry, Ollie, could you just hold the mic a bit closer? I don't know if the levels went down, but I'm hearing you a little quieter.
I was just saying the personality of that video, I think, shown through, because it was just us with the VHS.
Yeah. There's something special about it. It feels almost like home video-esque of like very natural and authentic coming through. Yeah. So I'm curious, with you brought me into the creative process a bit of, an idea will get thrown out, everyone tries it, if it works, great. Is that how most of the songs come about, along with the basic demos as well, or just like having being a 7-piece band, having having so many members, how do you kind of balance creative input or go about making songs?
It's been a gradual transformational process from the creation of the first record to now. And the core of the band is really 5 of us. Like this summer, most of the shows there was 9 of us on stage when you had the horns, and when we had our full 7.
No. You're a bit quiet again. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I got you.
Okay. So by the end of the summer, we were 8 in our full form on stage, and 6 without the horns. So when you kind of siphon that down even more, it's like a lot of the pieces will be, I'll have like a small idea, or Ollie and I will go in, work on an idea, or some like work on an idea that I might have in like a voice memo, or I'll sit down at the drums, I'll have the guitar, just start going and just start to like go back and forth. Like, oh, I like how that sounded, like how that, and then create a demo idea out of that. And then same thing, if Evan's available, he just had his first son. His first son was just born last month also. And so he's, schedule's crazy right now too. But
yeah.
if we 3 together can get all together, or 4 of us, all 4 of us can get together, Deanna get on bass, like it's kind of like whoever's around to nourish an idea when they can be in its demo form. And then typically we'll hit me and Ollie playing guitars, Evan on drums, Sam, our producer, playing bass as our basics for the foundation of how we'll record the records. And this second album was, like, to answer your question in a very long way, like, yes, this second album was a lot more like consistently collaborative, where I had pieces of things, brought them in, and we really like opened them up to the group. Evan brought in a song that then became like its whole own thing that we just all wrote together. And it's also in the nature of like I have 2 kids under 4 years old, and so Deanna is just like dutying mom a lot of the time, but we still get in our rehearsals, and she still has those moments of like, if I'm working on something like at home, and she's in there to give that her 2 cents on something, or we'll work things out together. I mean, we wrote Waves together, lyrics for and stuff, so in that sense it's all pretty collaborative. The first record came out of us having another group, and a lot of my process with that was just like writing a full song and us coming together and doing it. That one I did have parts of things that we brought to Sam, and that one was a lot more personally for me, a lot more of me learning how to open to that,
work with the producer
and to work with, us learning how to work with a producer, me learning how to open up to just be a lot more, just to be collaborative, like I realized how much through the process of doing it, how much I love it and prefer it. I was just so used to being in like in a like workaholic,
the solo like tunnel vision that you were talking about earlier.
And it wasn't even so much out of just preference of like, this is how I want it to be. It was like, this is how I'm so patterned in to do it. And so letting go more and allowing the songs to really take shape, one through Sam's lens as a producer, and two through just going like, Ollie, what do you think could go here? Or like, we're just jamming on the thing, and all it's a few riffs in the middle of something, and then we all kind of play producer at different times. I'll hear, oh, like, don't forget that, let's do that again, we got to do that again right now, and then a whole part gets written.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you a music artist looking to get your songs on Spotify, Apple Music, and basically every other streaming platform? Then you should check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution service. It's what I use to get all my music out across platforms, and I find it really helpful. You can manage your songs, lyrics, credits, and even manage releases across artists under one account. I don't think I would have gotten started as early as I did with music if it weren't for DistroKid. So if you want to get started, I'll put their pricing on the screen here. And yes, that does say the cheapest plan is at $2 a month. I know some of you spend more than that every day on your coffees. Like, this is to get your music heard by the world. But we're getting off track. DistroKid has so many additional features like pre-save pages, getting your music onto platforms like Instagram and TikTok, where people can put your music on their posts. If you use my link in the description, you will get 7% off any of these plans, making it even cheaper to get your career started, and so much more. So again, check out my link in the description for 7% off any plan. And now let's get back to the episode.
You mentioned Waves there. I'd love to hear more about that, and also the latest single, Low Fruit, and just let's start off with those singles first, but then I know we talked a bit about another album coming out then, so I want to get into all the upcoming music, but let's start with the newest stuff that it is released with Waves and Low Fruit.
Any question around those specifically?
Let's just generally how they were created. I mean, Waves I took a listen and liked, and you're getting into like the lyrical content of then writing that with Diana, and so if you want to get into whether it's the music of that, even the lyrics of Low Fruit, just anything around the process.
Waves is another one that had a whole different version of
that one had an art.
we recorded with Sam. That was, didn't we had like people, like clips of people surfing that was like inspiring us to kind of like
just waves. We were just watching like,
waves.
24 hours. Tahiti and all that stuff. But that song had about like 4 different incarnations, and the first was I was upstairs in our oldest son's room before he was born, and I just had a little studio set up in there at the time, and I made that demo just with like a basic splice beat, 1 track of drums, and then I had this bass line that was built around it, which actually didn't make it in either. So that's a pretty common thing, I'd say, with our stuff, where like the initial thing that I might base something off of and think it's like a real spirit of the song. It's something that Deanna has a hard time with, actually. She gets more attached to like the demos than me, and she'll be like, what happened to the first, what happened to that? The thing that
I get it. I'm kind of the same way, where I have a tough time because I want to be a producer. I'm in school for music and making some of my own music now, and I get the same way, where I'm a lot of times in the process of making a song, I get really attached to anything that came early in the process, and I, even if it doesn't fit the best, I like am hesitant to delete it or take it out, and so like I'm curious how in the process, like you said, this arc of making these songs, are there any signifiers of what should be kept or gotten rid of, or when you're making an arc and all these different versions, when a version is better than like, okay, now we're just going like too far the other way?
Sam, I think a lot of times helps out with that. I think with Waves in particular, we were kind of listening back to it. He just said like, I'm not really feeling it. There's something about like, I think this could be like, better, or like we could sculpt this a bit more.
Well, it's the nuance of parts too, because like sections of the song. If I have a really strong emotional connection in a demo phase to a part, it'll probably be in forever in some capacity. And that for that song, it was the chorus, waves. Like I was right before my son was born. I was like in the state, I had like a little bit of ganja and like a beer or something. I was in the zone. I was like really relishing in the time before our firstborn was coming, and just like getting into this meditative place with the music. And that chorus, and I like just turned up, I put that delay right where I wanted it in the trail, like the way that it happens in the song, and I was feeling the energy of the lyric. I was like, I knew that was like the heart of the song, whereas the verse was like, it was just like a question mark. Like I had something there for it, but the only thing that lasted from any of that was the pre-chorus, ding 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 ding. And through the process with Sam, we didn't even know if that would stay. It was like we know the chorus is there. It was the same thing where it was like, we know the chorus is there, like vocally, but to execute the parts around it so that it could really flow the way that met that kind of like hypnotic quality that we were wanting it to land. The little movements around it of what the bass and what the guitar and how the drums were, even though it's pretty basic, if you really listen to it, it just took us a lot of times. I mean, we had a point, like Ollie had this riff within the chorus, I think in like the first full recording of it we did with Sam.
Oh yeah, there was a whole solo like lead line.
Had a whole own like where we listened a lot. We're like, oh, that could be turned down a bit. To then next time we do it, it's just not there anymore.
Sounded cool though in your voice guitar rendition.
And the verse really just formed out of us jamming and Sam eventually laying in these chords on the synth that we were just like, that's the meat there. The verses are for Deanna. I was just like, hands off the wheel. I was like, I want to try to paint over this. Like again, like I felt so strong about the chorus that I was kind of like, I don't need to do. I can just let the rest of the song form.
Yeah, that you like. Yeah.
The guitar tones too. That really like kind of excelled once we landed on the next, which is the one you're hearing of Waves. He made the guitar really like tremolo-y and very like washy, spring reverbed out. That really,
that was there was a third one too before. There was
right,
but there with Sam we did 3 also.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
but it matches the vibe of Waves, and like you said, it sounds very like washy and whirly, and yeah.
Even all the way to the end of how that whole end section was, that was from the original. That was actually another part that we knew would stay.
The fuzzed out ending part.
The whole kind of like super sonic waves. Like we knew that was going to be there too, but even that, it was like this delicate kind of thing of how we had it glued together. Even just the drums, it was like we wanted the energy to be right for it. And it's funny how long that one. Some songs I've found, I feel like the spirit of them and how they want to come into the world is very specific sometimes. And I mean, I guess you could say that about all of them, but I've just noticed the ones that are like more laborious, they have this quality to them that is just like, there's finding that alchemy for them. They require a little more special attention. That's the total opposite of that. As an example, I like to think too, I mean, it's nice that they both performed well. Like Waves is what really put KCRW on, or what put us on their radar was that song, and they've like, yeah, they've shared us a lot since then and still play the song a lot, and we made it onto their like top 30 the best songs of the year because of that song, and it really, yeah, it just had a mind of its own that we really had to like sink into to get to a place where it could become what it is.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Was that, I mean, you mentioned, sorry, go.
Like we had a whole process even of just the delicate nature of like how the drums even landed in it, which it doesn't sound like that when you listen to it. It's like the basic like surf beat, but there's a thing that he's doing with the hi-hat throughout the chorus where he's hitting on this like up beat or the down, like he's kind of throwing like a dance beat into the middle of the main rhythm, and that was something that we worked out here through just like being in headphones in the other version of the studio over and over playing. Like, and then we had that version, like this other demo of that, like this is how we'll do the drums. So it's weird how everything was so piecemeal in it, and then eventually it's glued together.
Yeah, nice. And because you brought up KCRW, like the play you guys get from there, did that just come naturally of like, oh, we're getting played a lot here, or was that more of a connection of any kind of communication back and forth of whether it's you guys reaching out, hey, would you want to play this, them being like, hey, we love this song, or has it just been more natural of like, oh, we're getting radio play here?
Our manager has a relationship with the Planetary Group, and he early when we started working with him, he linked us up with them.
Gotcha.
And, so Planetary pitched it to them, and they liked it.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah, that's all right. And that radio is something that's interesting to me. I mean, I run a show. The semester just ended, so I'm back home now, but I'm in college still and like run a show there, and so it's always interesting to just hear, because I think college radio is a big kind of tastemaker field for music. It's kind of like the precursor to that, and then you get on bigger radio stations sometimes and builds from there. But yeah, we talked a bit about it before you guys came on. Just a big like a second album, a second LP coming up next year. Just what can you tell me about that? Like where in the process is that? Are these singles like Low Free and Waves kind of leading into it? Will they be part of it? Anything around the second LP?
Yeah, I'll let Ollie talk again for a second, fill in the gaps if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, the singles are going towards the the next LP dropping, which is dropping
April 17th.
April 17th.
Yeah. Okay, we have a release date. All right.
And
you're hearing it here first. Yeah, we don't make the announcement till later next month, but
okay. Yeah.
Promise that they listen to this.
Yeah, it'll yeah, it'll probably be out before next month, but it'll take me a bit to edit this and get it out anyway. So hopefully it's still an exclusive, but you know, it'll be like not leaked super far in advance.
And yeah, we have 2 more singles that will be released before the album drops.
Technically 3, but the other one's going to come out like a week before the album drops and leads it. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Unorthodox the way that we're doing it, because we're releasing a lot of the album before it's all out.
Yeah. But
right. Yeah. Well, we're just putting out a lot of it. So rather than having a like 12-track album and putting out maybe 4, we're putting out 6, I think.
Yeah, trying to
even 4 is like a lot for 12. Like a lot of times we'll do like 3 and put it out, or 2 even.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen it done both ways. There are albums and bands that I love that have like kind of like you said, almost drop the album through singles, and then there's the big release day of like, oh, the album's out, and I go to check it out, and I've saved like all but 3 of the songs, and I'm like, okay, well, 3 new songs, but
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it will be new.
Right, yeah.
but
It's like a lot of people don't even listen until the album's out or discover it. We'll have like a whole other like wave of discovery just through the album of people never hearing any of them. And a lot of people just listen to one song by a band now.
Yeah.
Those came out.
I mean, there are so many artists and bands that I like have one song saved of and just never like got into the rest of. But I still think it's a perfectly good strategy. Like you're keeping up momentum, people can listen to it. And unfortunately, because I try to still do it when I can, but a lot of people aren't like sitting down to listen through full albums anymore. So even if it's like a song every week or every couple weeks leading into an album drop where they have to listen to like 2 or 3 songs, that's still, I feel like, kind of you've heard the album. Maybe it wasn't like all in one sitting, maybe it wasn't in album order, but you've heard the album, the songs on it, everything, and so it's close to the same experience, or just as working just as well. But yeah, a lot less stop and go than like going off the grid and then single album and then going off the grid and things like that. So
this next album too is definitely curated thoughtfully to be a side A, side B experience too. So it's, I guess,
interesting
creating that album listening experience. But yeah, you can't really change the landscape, I guess, of how people digest music. I feel like it's more for us like being proud of putting something out that's we can see from start to finish it, the whole like arc of story energy behind it. But yeah, I feel like most people don't do that. Or a lot of people don't do that, but I don't know. I think we got a lot of fans from the days of when people listen to records.
Yeah.
So,
but I think part of, I mean, you guys are definitely still like growing and on the come up, and Megawatt caught like a lot of people's attention. So I think overall it's working, and you're still gonna build new fans with this. But just the general social media landscape or social media side of the music industry now, how do you guys feel about that, of like almost needing to promote yourself on like social platforms and everything, versus I know for the longest time I was like putting up a fight against it. I was like, no, I'm it's stick to the music. And then I was like, okay, I'll promote a little bit, just like a little bit. And I like, unfortunately, I see people who are almost as into the content creation as the music, but that's almost what works or what's needed nowadays. And just, I'm curious as to your guys' thoughts on that.
I think it's kind of exciting because it is kind of this thing where it feels like these streaming services are almost like becoming like caricatures of themselves. Where
yeah,
I think there's it's just exciting because I feel like there's so much impermanence and things could change in like the next 2-3 years with how quick everything moves, that you can either choose to be really depressed by how things are right now, be really excited, and like there's creative ways to navigate this.
yeah,
we've been just pondering amongst ourselves on how to approach things like TikTok and these things that we don't have, like aren't engaged in fully all the time, in like a fun, creative way that feels honest and not like doing something just because someone tells us we need to do it because it's the way to do it.
Yeah,
it's I think it's a double-edged sword, like lots of things, and in simple terms, it's like it's just television for the generation now, but much more accessible and personally curatable, which is, I think, that's a positive side of it. The other side of just the endless scrolling and kind of just like little dopamine hits and addiction to that process, and just feeling like falling behind or feeling like only this many people see it or all that kind of stuff. Like personally over this summer where I was behind the reins of our Instagram and our website and all that stuff and keeping all that up. Which it always feels like a chore for me, to be honest. It's other than the like making the content, like making the video for something, which generally if it's something new, I'm a little more fired up about. I've got like a few in me usually to make like cuts of something, a new video or something. Maybe I'm excited about like a live video or creating a promo for a show, but there's definitely like a reserve of energy for it, and when it's gone, I'm usually pretty depleted.
You're out. Yeah.
By the end of this summer, I was like, I'm good. Like I'm curating all this stuff, and Deanna has stepped into the shoes a bit. And again with our kids, no matter what, like it's like no matter which one of her or I are posting, like Ollie just offered the other day too to get on there and do stuff. So it's like, you know, slowly the login details are just going to be shared with more people in the band that are down to help and do it.
Yeah.
And
which is great.
Felt good to let go of, because it always feels like a chore, and especially when you have two toddlers, like doing anything like, oh, I have to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Daddy's got to go post on Instagram really quickly.
And it feels like it can just be like, just not even a drop in the ocean. Like.
Yeah.
So, you know, unless you boost it for a week or something, it's like, yeah. So, all that is, you know, it's obnoxious, and it's also a great opportunity. I mean, our manager found us through Instagram. We've found so many bands that way, and even through Spotify. You know, it's like a very controversial thing right now, and you know, I'm on like where a lot of people are with it, where I'm like, you know, getting ready to pull the rug. I think Oliver's already out of there with his like personal account, but
yeah, I don't stream music at all
I've
anymore.
discovered so much through it. You know, I've discovered so many bands that I set up, helped to like bring on to shows that we played this year were through just finding people on our similar artists. And even a band came out from Alaska to play with us that we found like on our
That's awesome
page. So
it's context,
everything, you know,
sure.
this double-edged sword with like the tools that you use, no matter what they are. So yeah, we're not about to pull off of Instagram, like that's kind of like our spot, but I mean, we're hoping we're gonna get some momentum on TikTok, I guess, and just throw it out there. We're like, it's here. Oliver said it well the other day when we were talking about another music video that we're treating right now, and he was just like, these might like implode in the next like 3 or 4 years. We might as well just like go of our art, you know.
Well, I'm comfortable enough with Instagram where that just feels like kind of a mainstay, or you can still use it as just kind of a hub for people who are already fans of you. You know, I don't feel the need to put out content and try to get in front of new fans like TikTok is all about. Like all it is new fans and like seeing people you've never seen before. But for Instagram, I like it as just like almost an updates page for like people who already know you, who already follow you. And yeah, it seems even without handing over the reins, maybe that's the best thing for the band, but it seems like you're doing a great job balancing like the band and family life and everything.
Hey heroes, sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description, and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode.
Ollie, I'm curious because you mentioned that you don't stream at all anymore. Like what does your music consumption now look like? Is that physical media? Is it like buying digitally directly from artists, or what is it?
Well, it's a combination of a lot. And and to emphasize, I have nothing against people who do stream or paid these companies
Yeah.
because it's just my listening habits don't necessitate a streaming subscription because I listen to the same,
You don't need to hear every song ever by everyone.
like if I was like a producer who needed to pull up, a quick reference on something sounding like, I would pay for a Spotify subscription because
Yeah.
it seems like the most like it's a tool in that aspect of it I really appreciate. And um, so that's kind of when I like got discouraged with it because
What did he say?
so
I asked about driving because I realized like that's a big part of just my stream.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we're
Right.
driving. Ollie doesn't have a car right now.
when I,
Being that
when I did have a car, Spotify was helpful. But again, that was before I basically did this thing where I looked at all the vinyl I had and then just noticed they all had download codes in them to get the MP3. And I was just looking at my phone and I'm like, I'm listening to these records on Spotify that I own, that I also
Yeah.
have download codes for the MP3s. Why am I paying this company to listen to these? Because my listening habits is just these records a lot of the time. And then new stuff, I use just YouTube rabbit holes. And if like I run into an ad every once in a while, it's not that big of a deal. But I've used the kind of YouTube recommendations since high school, so I'm just like used to that if I'm wanting to find new stuff. But yeah, like my listening habits are pretty like niche, and so I feel like it's a lot of supporting small labels and like buying records directly from people's band camps. Um, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
mostly just getting the download codes and then just having it directly on my phone. And space is like an issue, but I'm trying to just keep like 10 or so records on my phone at a time that I'm really into, and then just kind of
Yeah.
like cycle. And then every month I'll like buy a new record instead of like the money I would spend toward a streaming service. I'll buy like another record, just kind of like slowly build it up. And it was all kind of initiated through King Gizzard, their records for free on Bandcamp. Now,
Mhm.
oh, this is cool. I can have all their songs on my phone, and then the just how responsive the direct music app is on the iPhone comparatively to Spotify. My experience with it was it just seemed really instant and like less like if I'm multitasking, like I'm like I'm waiting for the internet to respond basically a lot of this.
Yeah.
Not the best phone. um so there is just a lot of pros to it to me, and just be able to like sit in with a record a bit more throughout the month and slowly build my music collection I just started getting really into.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And any like space is going to be an issue anyways. I just even with Spotify, I had an issue where I had to go in and like clear the cache. It was from other stuff on my phone also, but just it's not no storage being taken up by Spotify. Like there is going to be a lot of space taken up. Which is cool. And now I'm forgetting there was something else I wanted to bring up, but that's all right. But yeah, I love that it's very, oh yeah, and then like buying a record a month, like you said, that's how it used to be, like before streaming, like especially as kids, people would get like a monthly allowance of however much, and the music fans would go and like buy a vinyl a month, and that was like their kind of expanding their music taste or what they would spend money on, which is
Taste did like if I wanted to bop around and find a lot of new artists, then again I would stream. It's just like
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, well, Spotify, like you said, it can be used as a great tool. I was very much so like considering getting off of it and everything because I whether it's YouTube or anywhere else, I could find the music that I already love elsewhere. But then just now when they announced all the upcoming things of like song DNA and incorporating I don't know if either of you know the website Who Sampled, of like showing samples. They just announced that they bought them and are going to like incorporate that into the app, and so that kind of just like activates my nerdy music brain of I love like looking at credits and liner notes and knowing who
Yeah.
sampled what, and so that's like keeping me on there of it's I don't want to say they're getting away from like just the straight up music streaming, because they still have that, but they're doing like everything around music now of samples and like notifying you about live shows and everything, and so
Stuff like on the app, is it like a blurb that comes up of like who the sample's from?
yeah, so they haven't rolled it out yet, but from what their announcement looked like, is if you're playing a song, I don't know when the last time you used Spotify was, but like you scroll down and it's all the sections of like lyrics and about the artist and things, and I guess somewhere in there, if there's samples, it'll be like, oh, this song sampled whatever, and then I'm guessing a link to like play that song on Spotify and things, or like this song was sampled in this other song and you could go there, so that'll help all the rabbit holes that I want to go down.
That's
Yeah, I'm curious for YouTube, because I know, again, it's more for the bands and artists I already know, but they put out a new song and then everything around that of like a music video, a behind the scenes thing. Are you finding that when you listen to a new song, then you're getting like behind the scenes or interviews with that artist or things? Because I think that's also a great discovery tool of like going like more than hearing a song by an artist. Now you're getting closer to like knowing the artist themselves or seeing them like in interviews and beyond tracks.
Yeah, I usually go to bands YouTube if I want to find out more about their personality, I guess, and see if there's interviews or stuff like that. Yeah, I'd say so. It's definitely like
Awesome. Yeah.
that whole interface. You can kind of like look at more of their visual offerings in a quicker way, as opposed to like hearing a song. 'Cause I usually go to their YouTube just to see what they're doing as far as music videos or yeah, interviews, like you said.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, yeah, Rex, I wanna get you back in the mix here. And I've seen it throughout the interview, this pie tattoo that you have here on the wrist. Is there any story about that, or could you tell me a bit about that?
My birthday's 3/14, Pi Day.
Gotcha.
Um,
Cool.
it's a great number, and I'm into um the
Cool math stuff.
the surface that I've scratched of universal cosmic mathematics and symmetry and pattern, and so
Yeah.
pi and phi, Fibonacci, and all that stuff are. I've got another Fibonacci too. That's still hard to see. I'm not gonna pull it up right now, but it's
Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, no, that's
of an abalone shell. So yeah, all those are inspirations and grounding connections for me in my life.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. I was just talking with someone about like the inherent kind of connection between music and math. Of they were like, oh, you've taken music theory courses. Like, do you find that it's now just super mathematical and formulaic? And I was like, no, I still enjoy the like creative side of it and doing it and everything, but there is inherent stuff of like even just pure rhythm, like subdivisions. Like you have however whatever number, and then you can like multiply the number of notes by two, and that's inherently going to be like doubling the tempo or whatever. And I probably did not explain that well, but just like I was fascinated by like there's an inherent thing of math and numbers and music, and um kind of the correlation between it all, or how it all relates to each other. And even like why is faster tempo inherent or usually inherently like more energetic than slower tempos and things like that. But yeah, It's a cool rabbit hole to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. I love those rabbit holes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
curiosity at the end of the day, I feel like, is like why I like to analyze certain music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a great part of the human experience is asking questions. Why did they do that?
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time, so we'll slowly start wrapping up here. But just as like a question that I'm always curious with bands or artists, do you have a favorite, I'll call it like deep cut song of yours, or a song that maybe a lot of people don't really know about, but you think there's something special to it?
Our song or someone else's?
And ISTA song that you guys have.
Just a song?
ISTA song.
Oh, well, In the Kitchen did as like still comes up on the things that it's a song. It's like the last song on our first album. Almost didn't make it on either.
Mm.
It's just a silly song.
We wrote
but
it drunk at like 3 a.m. in this place, and acoustic guitars yelling.
Yeah, like the neighbor stomping on the floor eventually, like trying to get us to shut up. Went and recorded it the next day, like so hungover. Yeah, just like I don't know, 7 years ago or something, 6 years ago. But that I don't know. That's what I think of as In the Kitchen. Like I think we saw some like algorithmic something or other of our showing like a list of our songs, and that one made it in there. And Deanna said something along the lines of like In the Kitchen still like making its way, but people don't know about it. I don't think that much. Seabed, I'd say too, which is kind of like a cousin of that song. Those two, I'd are things that there's an acoustic guitar in the kitchen. I don't think there's acoustic guitar on any of our songs except well, the sound I guess has a riff on it, but it's rare that acoustic even really makes it in to our songs. And that Seabed is like the slowest, most mellow groove vibe song that we have. So sorry to take it to two, but that'd be my answer for all the music that is
all right.
released thus far. Who knows after the new record, but
yeah. Well, I was also curious there because you said it almost didn't make the album. What is kind of your process with deciding like crafting an album of like, oh, let's put this on, this one can be shelved for now? Like how do you make the final decisions of whether it's an album cut or not?
the process of the two records have been pretty different, to where the first album and the time span that it took from making it to releasing it was pretty long. Even though it didn't take that, it only took like a year and a half to actually make, right? About and then to actually come out, that I don't think we released it for like 3 years. So so that was very different, because we just kind of came to the end where we were like, we had a whole strategy, because it was in, we started recording in 2019, finished it in 2020, lockdowns, everything changed, everything slowed down a lot. And then we were like, all right, how are we going to put this out? Because first we had a single strategy that then kind of got like moved around. Oh, we'll make an EP of these songs, then make the rest of the record. And then it turned out that we had these 13 songs, and this was at a point too where I was like, I don't even know. We're all kind of living in different places, and the band hadn't played in like 2 years, I think, and so yeah, it was just the songs that we had left. I mean, I was almost like, oh, leave this one out, just make it 12. But it was all the songs that we recorded with Sam for that first like cycle with him, and it just felt like I was also personally in a place where like I don't even know if we'll continue this project, so let's just put all these out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like so different from this album. We kind of the first session where we took the demos to Sam up at Slowfon. we kind of came away with the bones, the scaffolding of an album, which we weren't expecting. We were just kind of like, I think we did one first where we did like 3 songs. Waves was in there, and there were 2 other ones that are like now back burner songs. And it was like, oh, that was fun. I think that was before my first son was born, and then Emmett was born, and then we took these demos up there, and then it was like all of a sudden there was I thought it was going to be another one of those sessions where we kind of came away with like, oh, this will be fun to like ruminate on and see what wants to come. And then it was like, nope, you have like the bones of a record here. And then as soon as that transmission was received and we were like, oh, we're making a new album, then we like got into that frame of mind.
Album mode, yeah.
Talking about the spirit, like baby, you know.
Yeah, just as we started getting the record together, there was some songs that just had a really like expansive like subterranean quality almost to it, where it was like, you know, a bit more moody, expansive, really like orchestral, even some of the stuff on this new so it was clear that we had a lot of songs that wasn't just, you know, banger songs that we were going for. That was more like, you know, expansive and a little bit more experimental as in terms of the vibe. So it was just clear that there was 2 voices happening of that. We're like, oh, this is a full record. This is going to be a full record, side A and side B kind of thing. So we've spent the last until we recently decided on the final track list. It was a lot of that process of like, what's going to go on side A, what's going to go on side B, how to reorient that stuff.
Yeah, nice, awesome. Well, yeah, I also meant to get into this earlier, but since you mentioned like bring live horns in for live performances and everything, how does this band kind of work live, or what was like going all the way back to even your first live show? What was that experience like?
First live show?
Yeah.
We did like a like unannounced or like a secret show at Berlin first in New York, where we just, you know, invited a bunch of our friends, and that was a blast. And then I think like a few days later or something, or the following weekend was like the official announced first show, which we did at the Sultan Room, and we curated it with some other friends of ours. Our friend Rich at the time, who had Bloodless, I don't know if he had Bloodless Management or what it was called or something, but Bloodless Production or something. But he was like doing his own kind of production company with events and stuff. And I just curated the bill. We brought on, well, Sam, our producer, along with Edon, amazing hip hop artist and DJ, like he's an amazing like on the decks. He's incredible. And producer, and then our friend Jesse Gallagher, who was in a band with Sam, Apollo Sunshine, back in the day. They're recording some stuff again too. Actually, it's very exciting. But they opened the show. We played after them. We brought on our friends Avolfo, good friends of ours, and then Lord Fascinator, who's Johnny, a homie from Australia. And it was just such a party. It sold out. It was super fun. It was so electric. It was like just felt like perfect way to do it for us, to just like open a show and feel very stoked and confident in our performance. And that iteration of the band, of the members, like there's I think 3 people that aren't in the band anymore that were at that point.
Yeah, we didn't have any horns also at our
shows. No horns there yet. And after that, it was just like the floodgates kind of opened of to be invited to play, and we played a house party. That was so fun.
It was like a Bernie Sanders
benefit.
Yeah, when he was the last time he ran.
Awesome.
Really magical little, like, I think 3 shows for the first things, and then we went out to play with another band, doing like a whole cycle of these shows out on the West Coast, and lockdowns happened while we were there. So everything that we were planning for the rest of the year with ISTA and with that other band just shut down.
That cut short. Yeah, that
was the first one, and then we did a little thing at Home Sweet Home, like we did a Halloween show 2020 in an apartment. That was also fun, but people were not ready to really like have a good time yet. And everyone was like pretty
Yeah, still very cautious.
given it, But yeah, it wasn't until we played at TVI. It's kind of like the first shows were kind of like new. They felt new after 2020, like every time in a certain way. We did a 5-piece thing at Home Sweet Home, and then when we played at TVI with our friends, Tea Eater and Romy, I think Amelia. Anyway, that one was like felt like our first show also because it had been like 3 years or something. That one was very fun. So now we're at a point. It's not our first show anymore. I guess it's over.
Yeah. Well, it also sounds like your live show just evolves so much and is different every time, which is awesome.
Side of the core group, that's kind of what we've been talking about this feeling like. But we're starting to have like a solid full roster of folks and starting to diversify, like, drummers and horns and stuff like that for if we need to play shows across like the country and things like that. There's stuff that's changing and adapting, but we feel we're entering like a really grounded space in order to like make decisions, how to be strategic with opportunities we're taking and stuff like that.
Grim Streaker was the other band at TVI. Just wanted to shout them out too. So.
Awesome. Yeah, TVI, and it's funny you mentioned Tea Eater. It's not confirmed yet, but I've been talking to them over email, kind of like we were, because I want to have them on the show also, and everything. So, but like if that ends up happening, is there anything you guys would want to ask Tea Eater or anything I should ask them when they come on?
You should ask them about recording their record here because that's a Tara.
Okay. Awesome.
I've been working with them for a little while now, so I've been producing their stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, we made they were just here. We made a 7-inch that came out last year with Greenway Records, and then I'm helping them make their whole new full length right now.
Sick. Awesome.
They're amazing.
Ask them about ask them about their love of butter. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tea Eater and love of butter. Got it.
You know about Mama Joe Rama Joe too? Their other, well, I mean, obviously they're in Gustav too.
It's a Twitch streaming show that they do.
Oh, cool! I did not know about that. No, I'm kind of similar to you guys. I'm just getting into them now, like on a pure like music level, and so I want to take the deeper dive into Twitch and everything.
Go. I would recommend as like some research on them. Just check out the Joe stuff. And if you ever tune in anything on Twitch, you get a lot more of like the inside jokes and stuff that are going on in their world. So
gotcha. Cool. Well, yeah.
So I'd recommend checking that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for that. The last question I'll have here before we wrap up is just I know you're kind of in album mode or getting ready for this second LP, but in general, if you could make a song or a single with any artist, any band in the world, who would you guys want to collaborate with? And there can be multiple answers again, and it doesn't have to be just one.
With a band?
Band, artist, yeah, like anyone.
Congratulations out of the UK.
Oh yeah,
I think we're very stoked on, and they're very similar vibe to us. It'd be really fun to work with them on some stuff.
That would be a fun collaboration. Yeah, recommend checking them out for sure.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll check them out. And if congratulations or anyone else connected to them is watching, let's get a ISTA and congratulations collab.
Yeah, I think that actually like could happen. I can see that. I'd like to have another like attitude of like something that feels very far. Like
that's what happens a lot when I ask this question. People will be like, okay, are we talking like realistic collaborations or like moonshot dream collaborations?
Right. I mean the like Gum like Jay Watson, who's in Tame Impala and has Gum and been making the stuff with Ambrose, Kenny Smith from Ox and Gizzard and stuff. Like that duo would be so fun to make something.
Oh
with.
yeah,
that would be incredible. And then there's just the like, oh man, if like Jurassic 5 got back together and did something, or a few of those, like I want to make some beats for Jurassic 5
or something.
You know?
Yeah, and just individually meet with like each member and then be like, oh, we reunited you guys. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I learned so much about you guys. Had a great time and definitely ready to dive further into ISTA stuff. So thank you again so much for coming on. If there's other than the album, anything else you want to shout out or promote, feel free to do that now. But yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
We've got shows coming up. We're going to be out on the West Coast this year. Going to be touring around. We're very excited. We have a support slot or support tour for with a band who we love that'll be announced next year, next month. I'm guessing it'll be announced. But and yeah, we're really excited to like finish up these music videos we have going and to share them with the world. And it's definitely go time in terms of like getting these things done so that everything's lined up well with the singles.
Next year, right?
Yeah, but we're just excited for, I mean, the relationships and connections that get made through working in music, playing live and recording is like just so unlike any other space creatively. So I'm just so excited to experience more of that and, you know, have my kids be a part of that experience. And yeah, I'm just grateful for all that. So excited to see it expand on.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate all your questions.